Tuesday, September 28th. Welcome to another DTR pre-market recap. Let's get after it here, right? So a little bit of a strange day potentially today. Quite the reaction from indexes here, right, overnight. Even though we had sort of this double inside bar, hard to have thought maybe that this is going to be a big gap down morning. So a little bit surprised by that here, right? And not just surprised by the gap down, but the size of it too, right? In some of these names, we're getting a $3, $4, $5, $6 gap, right? In 1 or 2% even, right? And that's pretty aggressive. Pretty just aggressive action for us to want to chase, right? If we're starting to get setups to the upside and then we're starting to get gap downs here that are kind of contradicting those, it's hard for us to want to be involved. Excuse me. Right? So, not exactly the most consistent of stories here this morning, right? And I think that gives me a little bit of hesitation. Gives me a little bit of pause, right, after we found, or what looked like finding a possible bottom. So that's making me very skeptical here, right? It's also making it very difficult for us to get any super clean setups, right? So I'm only really seeing stuff here, guys, this morning in the SPY and in Apple. I don't see much else pre-market anywhere else, right? I think maybe there will be other setups, maybe there will be plays, but I don't see that to be very clean, right? So that's another thing that's giving me a little bit of hesitation or a little bit of that, like just that feeling where maybe this isn't the best kind of trading conditions for us. And then it's also worth remembering, right, that Powell speaks about the economic recovery, right, from COVID to Congress at 10 a.m. He's talked about previously how he wants to see if, basically the main objective of the Fed over the pandemic was to ensure that we got back to maximum employment, right, and that we were achieving kind of like pre-COVID like markers, right? We're hitting those sweet spots, right? And so when he's getting asked questions by Congress, maybe that's the time where he's likely to kind of give us more clues or more hints, right, on when tapering might stop or how close they are to hitting objectives, right? So we can start putting a timeline on things. These are not, right? So these are all questions we need to kind of ask or answer. Right, so that's another thing another little piece of headline risk that could make things a little bit challenging, right? And then obviously last little part is Treasuries are really flying here, right? So if you guys remember back in the spring, that was sort of the hot topic about why tech was not doing so well, right? Treasuries were absolutely roaring, right? I think 10-year got to like 1.8, something like that. And right, that put a ton of pressure on tech. So that's gonna there's just a lot of stories here that are making it very challenging for us to possibly find clean setups, right? So again, right, we talked about yesterday pre-market how yesterday could be a day where it's kind of setting up the theme of the week, right? Well, we didn't really get that to happen, right? And so today, right, we're still waiting for that theme of the week to sort of be established, right, before we're willing to kind of get in and chase that action. So let's briefly go over here what's going on. I don't know. Sorry about that, guys. So let's briefly go over here what's going on, right? And then we can kind of, see maybe if there'll be a setup for us. So right, first thing is the SPY, right? So depending on how this thing holds up here, right, we might get this gap down play that we were talking about yesterday, right? So nothing really changed from there, right? 'Cause we didn't make a higher high, didn't make a lower low yesterday, right? So let's see how this thing goes, right? For this gap down, right? Not engulfing on volume, right? Doji maybe slightly pointing down. So there's nothing here that was screaming, right? Bearish breakdown, right? Or that we're going to have a ton of downside follow through overnight, right? So we need to see that volume step in, right? And get that kind of high conviction open here, right? To the downside. So we think there's room down towards that 438 under this 439.50, which is, pretty much where this SPY is currently gapping, right? Maybe it'll open there, maybe it'll open lower, maybe it'll open higher. That's currently where it's kind of hanging out, right? And we think there's about about $1.50 down, right, to kind of our next sort of resistance target. So we can be pretty patient, right, waiting for that right volume to show up. Maybe that means we got to wait for a low vol pullback. Maybe that means something else, right? But yesterday was not a high volume day, as we can tell, right? So it shouldn't be too hard to get a nice, reasonable high volume candle to the downside, right? If that's sort of what this momentum is here this morning. Again, right, Powell speaks at 10, so that just makes it a little bit challenging, right? That's a little bit of extra headline risk, right? There's potentially some extra little weird positioning, and I'm probably not super interested in this play, right? Unless it looks A plus, A plus, A plus, and even then, right? I'm going to be sizing down if this triggers before Powell's done speaking, right? Sizing down, expecting volatility from the headlines, right? So no big positions, right, or no big stabs at this. Probably going to be playing this at lotto size, right? And then there's only one other setup here that I like this morning, and it's this Apple. So Apple to me screams bear flag here, right? We talked about we're trading this kind of sell off a little bit here into the supply zone, and now it kind of looks a bit like a bear flag, right? So a lot of downside pressure engulfing on a bearish volume at least, right? So that's going to give us potentially some follow through. This thing has got some work to do though, right? So it's not like Apple's exactly right there either. We're still about $2 away from sort of our breakdown entry target, right? So we're looking for moves under this 141.20, right, towards that 140 and then that 137.50, right? This might be the better setup today, right? Because you might be able to get an entry on this, or it's got enough room for where it can move, right? Where we might be able to get an entry on this kind of post Powell speaking, which can give us a maybe cleaner head fake free trading environment, right? I think there's a little bit of potential. I do think 140 is going to be defended really aggressively, right? And this entire move up here, right, kind of starting from this 140 candle, right? This July 6th, right, big volume, hard to see, right? It's this big volume explosion. So I'm expecting that to be defended with a little bit of passion and a little bit of strength, right? And so we're going to want to see how that comes together. In some of these other names, guys, right, Tesla, if this market goes strong, we can look for breakouts over that 803. But, we didn't get that much, it didn't hold that well yesterday, right? It didn't give us that super high conviction. I mean, good increasing volume, but, found a little bit of rejection there at that 800. And then now we're getting that gap down. Maybe we're just need a little bit of consolidation before this thing is ready to go. And then something like this Microsoft, right? We're still inside this channel, but this big gap down, I need to see this reaction here, right? I want to see how this holds, right? How we establish, right, this kind of price action, right? Previously here on the SPY, every kind of gap down, we were talking about how, possibly is a buy the dip opportunity, right? And we just don't know that here yet. So for me, it looks like a coin flip, right? Like this market can go in either way, with headline risk right at 10 a.m. and a rotation into energy and financials. So maybe we can get a setup in something like a Goldman Sachs or something like that, right? If the market is clean, but we're not getting any super obvious triggers here yet either, right? So gonna be really patient, guys. Headline risk, Powell speaking. Going to be probably sitting on hands here this morning, unless something looks like really really clean, and that's it. So that's the game plan here this morning, right? Best of luck, happy hunting, right? Be very patient out there. Don't give anything up. Don't make any silly mistakes, and remember, cash is up position too. So best luck out there, guys. Happy hunting, and see you all tomorrow.